My ex asked me to pretend to be his wife for a work thing, but forgot to mention his real one was there too. I said okay, and turned the whole dinner into a scene they will never forget. You ever get a text from someone you shouldn't even have saved in your phone, but you do because part of you still wants to believe they'll grow up? Yeah, that was Jordan. We hadn't spoken in months. He was my ex. Emphasis on the ex. We dated for almost 3 years, broke up when I realized I was basically dating a walking ego with abs. The kind of guy who'd order for me at restaurants and act like it was romantic. The kind of guy who thought emotional maturity meant not throwing a tantrum when he lost at FIFA. That type. So when I got that random text from him out of the blue, my first reaction was just pure confusion. Jordan. Hey, I know this is weird, but can I ask you for a huge favor? I stared at the screen for 10 seconds. Then I literally said out loud, hold on, what? He followed up fast. It's a work thing. Super last minute. I just need someone to come as my wife. I mean, it's complicated, I'll explain. You're the only one I trust for this. That's when I should have noped out. Immediately. But of course, I'm me. And me has a track record of making decisions that start with, well, maybe it won't be that bad. I called him, partly out of curiosity, partly to get clarity, mostly because I knew I'd regret it if I didn't get the tea directly from the source. And the way he answered? Bro. Voice all soft. Fake humble, like he was on some kind of redemption arc. Sup, he said, like I hadn't watched him lie through his teeth about a business trip last year that was actually a weekend getaway with some girl named Lexi who sold crystals on Instagram. I didn't say hi, just, what kind of favor are we talking? He sighed. Okay, so my company is doing this huge corporate dinner and clients are flying in and there's this exec who's super traditional, family values type, and he thinks I'm married. Which, okay, technically is a misunderstanding, but it's too late to correct him without it becoming a whole thing. I interrupted. So you want me to pretend to be your wife for your job? Yes, just for one night. You know I can't ask anyone I'm seeing now. You're seeing someone? I mean, kind of, but she doesn't do well with social events and you always knew how to talk to people and this matters. It could mean a promotion. I wish I could tell you I hung up right there, but no. Something in me, some combo of ego, curiosity, and pure chaos, decided to say, fine, but I want dinner. Expensive dinner. And you're picking me up. He agreed. Too quickly. And that was red flag number 1. But did I notice? No, because I was already spiraling into that dangerous zone where your brain goes. Wouldn't it be kind of fun to mess with him a little? Spoiler alert, it was fun. Until it wasn't. So the night of the event, I pulled up in the kind of outfit that says, yes, I'm a wife. And yes, I look like this. Think elegant but dangerous, like if a black dress had an attitude. He showed up in this tailored charcoal suit, hair slicked, cologne I recognized immediately. You look amazing, he said, trying not to make it sound like a plea. I just smiled. So do you, for someone about to commit social fraud. He laughed, which is red flag number 2. On the drive, he briefed me on everything, our wedding date, how we met in college, and that our first dance was to John Legend. I just kept nodding, playing along, not really thinking too hard. We pulled up to this luxury restaurant, like the kind with valet and champagne fountains. And it was packed. I could already see people in suits and dresses through the glass walls, everyone schmoozing like it was a Netflix drama about lawyers and secrets. As we walked in, he gripped my hand. Just be chill, he whispered. Don't say anything weird. Me? Be chill? Sure, Jordan. The dinner started off normalish. We got introduced around. He was charming, I played the role, supportive wife who knew just enough about his job to seem real. It was actually kind of fun, like adult improv with cocktails. Then, halfway through appetizers, I noticed her. A woman sitting 2 tables over, tall, blonde, gorgeous, and staring directly at us. First I thought maybe she was just confused, maybe I looked like someone she knew. But then she stood up, walked over, and said the words that flipped this whole thing upside down. Oh wow, Jordan. Didn't expect to see you here. His hand on mine stiffened. I looked at him. He looked at her. Then back at me. And that's when she smiled, real slow, and said, I'm sorry, are you the wife now? Now when I tell you I could feel the air get sucked out of that room, I literally heard a fork clink against a wine glass and someone cough in the distance. And Jordan looked like he'd just swallowed a whole Lego. And the woman, tall, cool, terrifying in a Zara power blazer, was standing there with her head tilted like she was watching 2 fish flop around in a boat. Let me paint this clearer. She was not some casual ex. She wasn't even angry. She was calm. Too calm, I would say. I blinked. Excuse me? She gave me a smile that could melt steel. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wasn't aware Jordan and I got divorced. Did I miss the memo? Y'all, I almost choked. I felt my throat close up, and I could practically hear the record scratch in my brain. Meanwhile, Jordan just sat there, mouth open, no words, no explanation, just vibes. Like a deer in headlights. But worse, because this deer brought me into traffic with him. I turned to him slowly. Jordan, I said in the calmest, eeriest voice I could muster. Is she joking? She laughed. Oh no, babe. I wish I was. She pulled something from her purse, a shiny little envelope, and she slid it across the table to me like it was a dinner check. I looked down. An invitation. Jordan plus Melissa, April 24th, private garden ceremony. I swear to you, my soul left my body. I was staring at physical proof that this man was, in fact, married. Still married. And he had the audacity to drag me into this event as his pretend wife in the same room as his real one. Plot twist? More like plot nuclear detonation. Melissa, yes, her name was Melissa, just crossed her arms and leaned against the back of a chair like this was dinner theater. And I guess in a way it actually was. She looked at me again. So, you're the fill-in? I wasn't even mad at her, she wasn't mean. Just sharp, like she was cutting straight through the BS. Jordan finally spoke. Melissa, can we talk privately? Oh, now you want talk? In private, she echoed, raising a brow. That's rich. I whispered to him through gritted teeth. You told me you weren't seeing anyone. He looked helpless. It's complicated. I snapped. Complicated? Bro, you're married. That's not complicated. That's illegal, delusional, and dumb. People were definitely watching now. Some lady across the table had stopped mid-bite. A guy at the next table over subtly leaned back like he was trying to eavesdrop without getting caught. I was mortified, livid, and weirdly adrenaline-charged. Melissa chuckled. See, I told you she'd figure it out fast. She's not dumb like the last one. Excuse me. I turned toward her. Oh, don't worry, she said, eyes twinkling. You aren't the problem. Jordan is. Jordan rubbed his face like he was trying to erase the entire moment. I stood up slowly. You know what? I think this whole thing deserves a toast. Jordan's eyes widened. Please don't. No. Let's honor this beautiful night, this fabulous lie, and your incredible ability to gaslight two women at the same time. I raised my glass and said loud enough for half the room to hear. To Jordan, the man who can't remember which wife he brought to dinner. You could feel the silence. People were staring. Melissa bit her lip like she was trying not to laugh. And me, I drank my whole champagne flute in one go. That's when the exec, yes, the important client Jordan had invited, came over looking all confused. Jordan, is everything all right? Who is this? And y'all? I couldn't help myself. I turned to him and smiled sweetly. Oh, I'm just one of his wives. Then I grabbed my clutch, looked at Melissa and said, Girl, I hope you get his house in the divorce, and I walked out. Like strut level walked out with heels clicking across marble floors like a soundtrack. And that should have been the end, right? Except it wasn't. 'Cause 2 days later I got a DM on Instagram. From Melissa. So yeah, I left the dinner like it was a runway walk for emotionally betrayed women. I honestly thought that would be it. I figured Melissa would tear into him in the car, probably throw something at his Xbox when they got home, and that'd be the end of it. I wasn't planning on hearing from her again, and definitely not expecting her to slide into my DMs 2 days later like some kind of beautifully vengeful ghost from the group chat dimension. Her message was simple. Hey, if you want the full story, I'm down to talk. You deserve to know what kind of crap storm he dragged you into. I debated. I really did. I was like, okay, what is this? Some kind of girl boss trap? Is she gonna yell at me for being involved? Or worse, is she the type to forgive him and now wants me to apologize? But curiosity? That thing is undefeated. So I responded. I'm free after 5 if you are. I'm not driving across the city though. Coffee shop by Midtown Mall. She replied within 2 minutes. See you there. Melissa showed up in head-to-toe cream. Some kind of linen situation that said, peaceful on the outside, possibly packing receipts. Her hair was tied back. Sunglasses. Minimal makeup. But her presence? Loud. I already had my iced chai when she walked in. She didn't say hi, just sat down across from me like we were old friends on a break between chaos shifts. I'm not here to fight, she said. Cool, me neither, I replied. Though, full disclosure, I was prepared to throw hands if you blamed me. She smirked. I wouldn't waste a slap on you. You were as clueless as I was. That line hit harder than it should have. She pulled out her phone and opened her notes app. I made a list, she said, of all the times he pulled stunts like this. I blinked. Wait, you did what? Oh, honey, she said, tapping her screen. This man is a pattern. You weren't his first stand-in wife gig. He's done this crap for years, I just didn't have proof until now. And then, I kid you not, she scrolled and read the bullet points like it was a TED Talk titled, The Audacity Chronicles, Jordan's Ego in Action, pretended to be single on work trips to avoid drama, told his coworkers I had anxiety so I wouldn't show up to events, had a fake wedding ring he kept in his glove compartment, just in case, claimed to be divorced but co-parenting at one networking conference we have no kids, told his friends that I was a little too intense for social media, so they wouldn't question why I wasn't tagged in anything. I swear, by the 4th bullet I had stopped sipping my drink and just let the ice melt. 'Cause like, what was I even supposed to say? Melissa looked up from her phone. You still think this is just about one dinner party? I shook my head. No, I think this man is running a soap opera in his own head. She leaned back and sighed. I was gonna leave him 6 months ago. Had everything packed too. Then I found out that I was pregnant. Pause. I blinked. Wait, so she cut in. I miscarried. A week after he disappeared for a business trip in San Diego. My stomach dropped. She just said it like she'd already grieved it 1,000 times and now it was just data. And when he got back, she continued, he said I was being dramatic, that it wasn't that serious. He went to sleep while I sat in the bathroom staring at test results that didn't matter anymore. I was speechless. I mean, what do you even say to that? I'm sorry feels too small. That sucks feels offensive. So I just looked at her. She was tired. I'm so sorry, I finally whispered. Like, really? She gave me a soft nod. Thanks. I think I just needed someone else to see it. Because all he ever did was gaslight me into thinking I was too sensitive, too controlling, too whatever. We sat in silence for a second. Then I asked, so what now? She smiled, small, dangerous. Now? We make sure nobody else falls for his garbage. And that, my friends, is how I ended up co-running a burn book. Okay, maybe not literally, but close. Melissa and I started tracking everyone we knew who'd ever been connected to Jordan. We made a spreadsheet, yes, a spreadsheet, filled it with names, timestamps, events, receipts, DM screenshots, Venmo transactions, flight confirmations, suspicious Instagram tags. She even pulled up this girl named Marla who Jordan mentored in a sales training program. Marla posted a photo of a man's hand on her thigh in March. Guess what kind of watch he was wearing? Jordan's Cartier. I wish I was making this up. We didn't out him publicly yet, but Melissa did something better. She sent a very detailed timeline of his shenanigans to his company's HR department, anonymously of course, labeled, employee representing the company at external events, possible conflict of interest and misconduct. They opened an investigation. The same exec who'd been at that dinner? Yeah, he got that timeline forwarded to him twice. And Melissa finally filed for divorce. With our spreadsheet attached as a narrative supplement, now here's where the dominoes start falling. Because 2 days after Melissa sends that report, Marla messages me. Yes, Marla, the girl from the sales mentoring program, the one we suspected had a thing with Jordan. She DM'd me on Instagram with this. Hey, I don't know if you know who I am, but I think we both dated the same liar. I clicked her profile. Oh, she was gorgeous. Travel reels, brunch photos, glowing skin, and Jordan in the background of at least 5 of her old stories. I replied fast. Girl, we might need a group chat at this point. We ended up hopping on a call the same night. And what she told me, it made the dinner party feel like child's play. So apparently Jordan and Marla had been together, and I use that term lightly, for almost 9 months. He told her he was divorced, no kids, worked in corporate consulting, and didn't believe in labels because they just make things messy. But he also said his ex, aka Melissa, was obsessed with him and kept harassing him. He made it sound like he was the victim. I literally had to pause her mid-sentence. Wait, did he show you any proof of that? She laughed. Girl, he showed me emails. But now I think he wrote them himself. Let that sink in. He fake wrote harassing emails from his wife to show a new girl that she was unstable and he was the wounded hero. But she believed him. She even blocked Melissa for a while because she didn't want to get caught in the middle of drama. I felt sick. Not at her, but for her. 'Cause I remembered exactly what that confusion felt like. That warped moment when your gut says, this doesn't add up, but your heart says, no, he's just complicated. We've all been there. Anyway, after Melissa and I compared notes with Marla, the puzzle really came together. Jordan wasn't just bad at relationships. He was running a full-blown rotational cast of women who didn't know the others existed. Some he dated, some he mentored. One poor girl apparently thought she was engaged. She had a ring and everything. He told her he was waiting on the divorce to finalize. There was no divorce filed. Melissa checked. So yeah, by now you're probably wondering, what happened to Jordan? Well, karma showed up. In business casual. A week after the HR report was submitted, Jordan got pulled into a mandatory review with senior management. The client, remember the guy from the dinner? Refused to work with Jordan again. Said it was due to professional concerns, but we all know what that meant. By week 2, his LinkedIn suddenly read, former regional director open to work. Former. As in fired. Melissa didn't gloat. Not even a little. She actually looked kind of sad when she told me. He doesn't even realize what he lost, she said quietly over iced tea. Not just the job. Me. The friendships. The reputation. He's gonna spend the next 5 years blaming everyone but himself. I nodded. Yeah, but at least now he doesn't get to rewrite the story. She smirked. That part. Now, I wish I could say it ended there. I wish I could say we all high-fived, ate some cupcakes, and went back to living our lives. But you know Jordan, he had to go down swinging. 2 days after his termination, he showed up at my apartment. See, my building has a keypad, so he waited outside until someone else opened the front door and followed them in. No call, no text, just boom, knock on my door. When I opened it, he looked like someone had deflated his ego with a thumbtack. Dark circles, wrinkled hoodie, no watch, no cologne. Can we talk? He asked. I stared at him. Talk about what, exactly? Your acting career? Because bro, you had us all fooled. He looked at me like a kicked puppy. I messed up. I blinked. That's the line you're going with? After all that, the fake marriage, the backup girlfriend, the dinner ambush. Your big apology is I messed up? He stepped forward. I just thought maybe we could, I don't know, start over? I laughed. Out loud. Bro, you lost your job, your wife, your girlfriend, your friends, and probably your dry cleaner. And now you're at my door like I'm the reset button? He looked at me like he genuinely thought that was a fair plan. I closed the door halfway. You should go home, Jordan. I don't have a home, he said softly. I paused. Then I shrugged. Guess you'll have time to figure that out. And I closed the door. So after Jordan showed up at my door like a rejected Bachelor contestant looking for a redemption arc, I really thought that was the last I'd hear from him. I even did a whole symbolic deep clean of my apartment, blocked his number, unfollowed, untagged, and everything. But apparently the universe wasn't done with the story, 'cause about a week later Melissa texted me, "You got time for one more update?" I responded with my usual curiosity meets chaos energy. "Girl, I always got time for an update. Spill it." And the first thing she said, "Remember Marla?" And I was like, "Yes, the Pinterest goddess with the Cartier handpick. What about her?" Melissa goes quiet for a second, then just says, "She's pregnant." Y'all, I dropped my phone, like physically dropped it, on the kitchen tile. Thank goodness I had a screen protector because I was not ready for that plot twist. Apparently, after Marla found out the full extent of Jordan's BS, and that he was never legally separated, and that I existed, and that there were possibly other women too, she did something none of us expected. She didn't ghost him. She confronted him, like face to face. She invited him over under the pretense of talking things out, and when he showed up, she handed him two things: a printed photo of her ultrasound, and a manila envelope full of everything Melissa and I had dug up, the spreadsheet, the screenshots, the faked emails, all of it. Then she told him, "I don't need you in this baby's life. I don't trust you. I just wanted you to know what you lost. I wanted you to see the kind of chaos you create and realize you're not getting away with it anymore." Then she asked him to leave, Melissa told me. He called me at 2 a.m. sobbing, said he felt like everything was slipping through his fingers. And honestly, good. The masks were off. The story was finally out in the open. A few weeks went by. Marla stayed quiet on social media, but Melissa told me she was doing okay. Seeing a therapist, surrounding herself with people who weren't walking red flags, preparing to raise her baby with more strength than I could even put into words. Melissa finalized her divorce. Clean break. She even sold the ring and donated the money to a domestic abuse awareness nonprofit. And me, I got a job offer from a friend of a friend who'd been at that very same dinner. Turns out my little champagne-fueled speech made an impression. Go figure. But the real full-circle moment came on a random Sunday. I was at the mall just browsing, not even in a rush, and I walked into this bookstore cafe to grab a latte, and who do I see sitting in the corner? Jordan. Alone. Hair overgrown, hoodie on, typing something on a beat-up laptop that looked like it hadn't been charged properly in weeks. And he saw me. Our eyes locked for a second, and for the first time ever, he looked away first. I didn't say anything. Didn't even smirk. I just walked past him. That night, I called Melissa and told her what happened. She just laughed and said, "Girl, the audacity finally ran out." Then she paused. "I'm thinking of writing a book." I blinked. Wait, seriously? She was dead serious. Not about him. About us. The women who survived someone like him. I want people to know what this kind of manipulation looks like, and maybe save someone else from going through it. And honestly, that was the most powerful thing I'd heard all year. So here's how it all wrapped up. Melissa became a speaker and writer on toxic relationship dynamics. She started a blog, and the comment section alone could make you cry. Women from everywhere, sharing stories they'd never told anyone before. Marla gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She named her Luna, which is kind of poetic since she said the baby brought light into the darkest chapter of her life. And me, I learned how to stop mistaking chaos for chemistry. I started dating again, slowly, cautiously, but this time with boundaries. Real ones. You know how people always say, the red flags were there, I just didn't want to see them? Yeah, this part of the story, this is where I eat that humble pie. 'Cause looking back, the signs were all there. Waving, flashing, practically screaming. But I let them slide one by one because I thought I was being understanding. Let's rewind to when I first met Jordan. We met at this networking mixer/cocktail night thing. You know, one of those events where everyone pretends they're more accomplished than they actually are and talks about branding and vision boards while secretly trying to remember each other's names. He was charming. I mean, stupid charming. Tall, confident, knew how to make eye contact without being creepy, which is like a rare skill. He introduced himself like we were already friends. "Jordan, marketing exec. You look like someone who doesn't settle for small talk." I should have known from that line alone, but I smiled. I fell for it. Our first date? Sushi and rooftop drinks. He talked about work, a lot, but in a way that made it sound like he was doing something important. Strategy, branding, international client relations. The whole deal. Somewhere between our third and fifth date, he mentioned something that should have been a warning shot. He said, "Just so you know, I've got a complicated relationship history. Nothing scandalous, just messy endings. I'm the kind of guy who's too intense sometimes." I remember nodding like I understood. "Same," I said. "I overthink everything." He smiled like we just trauma bonded, and that's when I really bought in. The first lie I know he told me? He said his ex, Melissa, was toxic and emotionally manipulative, and had once showed up to his office demanding to see his phone. "She thought I was cheating," he said with a laugh, even though I wasn't. He described her as clingy, jealous, and obsessed with control. So naturally, I didn't ask questions, because I didn't want to seem like her, the dramatic, insecure ex-girlfriend type. I thought I was being mature by just trusting him. Major mistake. There was this one time, maybe 2 months in, where I noticed 2 toothbrushes in his bathroom. I joked, "Got a backup in case yours dies?" He laughed and said, "Oh, my cousin stayed with me for a bit. That's hers." I didn't think anything of it, until I realized the toothbrush was still there 2 weeks later. Still didn't ask. Then one day I saw a birthday card on his kitchen counter. It said, "To my husband, I still believe in us. Happy 3 years." I stared at it for a full minute. When he came back from the store, I asked, super casual, super light, "Hey, who's the card from?" He glanced at it and said, "My mom. She sends overly emotional stuff. It's a weird family thing." And y'all, I believed him. Why? Because it's easier to believe a lie when it's told with a smile and confidence. The real kicker? The time I was at his apartment and a notification popped up on his phone from a contact saved as M. Said, "Are we still good for next weekend? Need to know if I should pack the black dress." I literally felt my stomach twist. I asked him, "Hey, who's M?" And without missing a beat, he goes, "Oh, Marissa, from my marketing team. We're prepping for a brand launch in Chicago next weekend. It's a formal event, so she's bringing something dressy." And I bought it. Again, because I didn't want to be the person who snoops. But guess what? M wasn't Marissa. It was Melissa, his actual wife. She told me later that she texted him that night asking if he still wanted to go to their anniversary dinner. Black dress and all. So yeah, I wasn't just ignoring red flags, I was doing gymnastics to justify them. There was another moment, smaller, but it sticks with me. He never wanted to take pictures. Not one. Anytime I asked to snap a selfie, he'd say, "I hate photos," or "My job's too public, can't risk stuff getting out." He made it sound like some mysterious corporate NDA situation. But now I know it wasn't that. It was because if we posted anything, Melissa would see. Or Marla. Or whoever else was getting the same recycled baby. I'm just complicated storyline. And the saddest part of all, even when I started to feel that sinking gut instinct, that quiet buzzing feeling that something was off, I didn't walk away. I stayed because he knew exactly how to apologize without changing anything. "I didn't mean to hurt you. You're overthinking it. I'm just stressed from work. I'd never lie to you, not like that." And I believed him. So by this point, the damage was done. Jordan lost his job. Melissa finalized the divorce. Marla was preparing to become a single mom. And I was healing. I started going on walks. I even downloaded a meditation app, though I deleted it 3 days later because it kept interrupting my music with calming ocean sounds when I was trying to listen to some old R&B stuff. I thought that was it. Like the end. And for a while it was quiet. Until Melissa called me out of nowhere and said, "I need backup." I sat up. For what? Jordan's lawyer just filed something ridiculous, and I think it's time we handle this in person. I already had my purse in hand. "You want me to come with you?" She didn't even hesitate. "Marla's coming too. Girl, say less." So here's the thing. Jordan tried to contest the divorce settlement, not because he wanted Melissa back, but because he was broke and petty. He tried to argue that she was defaming him by sharing her story publicly, even though she never once used his name, never posted photos, and literally kept everything anonymous on her blog. But what really pushed Melissa over the edge? He sent Marla a text. After weeks of silence, after she'd already told him she didn't want contact, he texted, "If you're keeping the baby, we should talk custody." No congrats. No, how are you feeling? Just custody, like she was a shipping container and he wanted partial access. Marla was livid. But more than that, she was scared. So we all agreed, no more silence. Melissa's lawyer suggested mediation, neutral ground, final closure, and somehow all three of us, me, Melissa, and Marla, ended up in the same bland conference room as Jordan. One last time. Let me tell you, the tension? Thick. Jordan walked in late, of course. Button-down shirt, no tie. Hair slicked back like he'd spent 45 minutes pretending he wasn't unraveling. He looked at us, 3 women sitting side by side like an Avengers lineup of emotional damage, and he froze. The lawyer, who honestly looked like she'd rather be doing jury duty, gestured for him to sit. What followed was 2 hours of back-and-forth legal nonsense. He kept trying to argue that Melissa's blog was costing him job opportunities, that Marla was withholding information about the pregnancy, and that I was instigating drama online. News to me, considering I'd said nothing publicly. Finally, the lawyer asked if anyone had anything they'd like to say, off the record. Melissa glanced at me, then at Marla. Then she spoke. "In the interest of resolution," she said, voice steady, "I'd just like to say one thing." Jordan sat back, probably expecting an apology or some plea to make peace. Instead, she leaned forward, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "You lied to every single one of us. You built your whole identity on manipulation, and now you want sympathy because it's collapsing? No, you don't get to play the victim in the fire you started." Jordan blinked. "Melissa." She didn't flinch. "I loved you. I believed in you. And you turned that into a weapon. I won't let you do that to anyone else." Silence. Then Marla jumped in. "And for the record, I am keeping the baby, but you will never be her father. 'Cause being a parent isn't just DNA. It's integrity. And you have none. Bro." I almost stood up and clapped. Jordan opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, but I cut him off. "You want to blame us for the mess you made? Fine. But let me say this clearly. We didn't destroy your life, we just stopped protecting your secrets." He didn't respond. He just looked at us, like he couldn't quite believe we weren't bending, breaking, begging. After mediation, we walked out together, three women who had absolutely nothing in common, except that we all got caught in the same storm and refused to drown. Marla turned to us in the parking lot and said, "I feel like I just walked out of a movie." Melissa smiled. At least this one had a satisfying ending. We hugged. A real one. Kind that says, "I see you, I've got you," we survived. And then we left. Weeks later, I got a little update. Melissa's blog post about narcissistic patterns in relationships went viral. She got offered a guest spot on a podcast. And Marla? She had her baby shower. I wasn't expecting to get an invite, but I did. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to sit across from a man who used you, lied to you, and thought you'd never find out, let me tell you, it's satisfying, it's terrifying, and it's empowering. 'Cause when the lies fall apart and the masks drop and the truth finally comes out, you realize you were never crazy. You know that feeling after a storm passes? Like everything's still damp, but it's quiet and kind of weirdly peaceful? That's what the weeks after mediation felt like. It was just silence. Beautiful, blissful silence. I got back into my routine. I bought new sheets, got a little too into nighttime skincare. Melissa was blogging consistently, doing interviews now. And Marla, she was deep in baby prep mode. And then the man himself liked Melissa's LinkedIn post. Let me explain. Melissa had shared this really thoughtful post about rebuilding after toxic relationships. Nothing petty, nothing even remotely calling him out, just reflective stuff like, sometimes the hardest part of healing is letting go of the version of you who believed the lies. But you deserve better. Always. Got a ton of traction. Comments, shares, DMs from women who felt seen. And then, like a mosquito landing on a candlelit dinner, Jordan's name popped up. Jordan C. liked this post. "Girl, we saw it. All three of us." Melissa sent a screenshot and said, "No way this man thinks this is subtle." Marla replied, "He's lurking. Don't feed the troll." Me? I typed, "Should we say something?" Then deleted it. 'Cause honestly, that was the most on-brand Jordan move imaginable. Try to sneak back in without actually apologizing. Just quietly like a post and hope we forget the part where he basically treated us like revolving door extras in the Jordan show. Fast forward a few months. I ran into someone from that dinner party. Remember the exec from Jordan's job? The one he was trying so hard to impress with the fake marriage bit? Yeah, him. We bumped into each other at a mutual friend's birthday thing. Totally random. He recognized me instantly. "Hey, you were at that dinner. With Jordan, right?" I braced myself, but he just smiled and said, "You know, I always had a weird feeling about that guy. You handled yourself like a pro, though." I blinked. "Really?" He nodded. "You stood up for yourself, told the truth, took the high road." That stuck with me. He gave me his card before leaving. "You ever want work in PR or brand crisis management? I know a few people." I kept the card. Didn't call, but it felt like closure in a suit jacket. About a month after that, I got an update from Melissa. She was dating again. A real guy. Nice, grounded, not a consultant with secret wives or a mysterious schedule that always involved airports but never any actual travel. She said, "It's weird having someone ask how my day was and actually mean it." I laughed. "We're rooting for you." Marla gave birth a few weeks later. She sent us pictures of Luna, this squishy little baby with the most judgmental facial expressions I've ever seen on a newborn. She looked like she came out the womb already knowing men ain't it. Marla's caption? Day one and she already knows she deserves better. Queen behavior. As for me, I finally realized that love isn't supposed to be a Rubik's Cube with missing pieces and a guy yelling, "Just trust the process," while gaslighting you. It's supposed to feel safe. Not performative. Not like a job you're failing at. And honestly, I'm grateful it all happened. I'm grateful because it showed me what I never want again. Taught me that people who truly love you don't ask you to lie for them. They don't call your boundaries drama. They don't disappear when it's inconvenient or show up only when their lives are falling apart. They show up consistently. And I deserve that. So do you. Final recap. Jordan, unemployed, alone, probably still refreshing LinkedIn hoping someone from HR forgets what happened. Melissa, writing, in love with someone who buys her flowers. Marla, a whole mom, raising the next generation with grace. Me, peace with a new rule. If someone asks me to pretend to be something for their benefit, I say no, unless it's Halloween or improv night. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you've ever ignored a red flag or tried to be the chill one while someone else spun the story, yeah, I see you. And trust me, walking away isn't weak. Consider subscribing if you liked the story. Peace out.